Good evening. Let's call this meeting to order of the Town of Sheffield Select Board for Wednesday, December 19th, 2022. First of all, I want to let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded, and we thank CTSB for doing so. You may record the meeting upon informing the chair. Our first order of business is approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of October 17th, November 3rd, November 7th, November 15th, November 17th, and November 21st, as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job, Jill.
I don't know how you do it, but
It's a lot of minutes.
thank you. Next, we're going to open our public hearing that is going to be to receive and to review and receive comments on the implementation of the fiscal year 19 CDBG GDF-G Sheffield. I'm going to let that go. New Marlborough Otis Community Development Block Grant, including the Housing Rehabilitation Program. And with us tonight to present this, we have Patricia Mullins, who is the head of housing development.
Well, community development.
What is your title, Pat, please?
Community, I'm Community Development, Housing and Regional Services Program Manager.
Wonderful.
It's a really long title.
And Pat, of course, is from Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. Pat, good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, I appreciate it, and it's really nice to see everybody. It's a small, little intimate group here tonight.
But we are on television, so you're reaching hopefully a larger audience.
Okay, and I want to introduce Christy Lewis, who is working with me in the Community Development Program, and some of you may have already met her, but she's been invaluable in assisting with all of our activities. So I'm here tonight because when we do a CDBG grant, there's a requirement that there be 2 public hearings during the whole span of time that we're working on CDBG. One happens before the grant application goes in, and the other happens sometime during the implementation period. And so that's what we're doing here tonight, is having this this meeting or hearing about how the grant has rolled out. So I'm going to read you a few facts from my list here, and then you can ask me questions if you have any. So the FY19 Sheffield CDBG grant found Sheffield to be in the lead, but we also had 2 other communities that were working with us, New Marlborough and Otis. And there were 3 activities under the grant. The first one was the Housing Rehabilitation Program, which is the program that most people associate CDBG with. And that program was funded at the level of $800,000. And when we first submitted the grant application, we proposed to do 20 projects at approximately $40,000 each. Of course, until we actually locate and decide on the projects, and find out exactly what kind of rehab the houses need, we don't really know how much each project is going to cost. But we use $40,000 as the marker for most of our figuring, because that's the highest amount that DHCD will approve without a single case waiver. So as it turned out, we ended up doing 15 projects. And many of these projects were done during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, and there was a lot of slowdowns with supply chain issues and contractors being unavailable and their staff being out of work due to illness. So we've had more than a couple of extensions on this grant, and everything has actually cost quite a bit more. So in order for us to get those 15 projects, the majority of them cost more than the $40,000 and required a single case waiver in each and every separate case from DHCD. So there's a lot more to getting the program out there to people. So the housing rehab program had $800,000 for the actual rehab work and $96,000 in program delivery for providing the services that were related to it. The second project or activity under the grant was the Sheffield ABR design, which was a $96,400 budget to secure a designer to look at the police station, the library, and the town park to make ABR, which stands for Architectural Barrier Removal, but really should be thought of as ADA improvements to these three town-owned properties. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that process was like, but before I do, I want to say that the third activity under the grant was very similar. The town of New Marlborough needed ABR design for the town hall, and that was budgeted at $80,000. So basically, again, think of it as the term ABR is a CDBG term. Think of it as ADA improvements on all of these facilities that are town-owned. So both of those projects required designers hired underneath the Chapter 7 designer selection law. And that means that each town, Sheffield and New Marlborough, had separate processes to determine who should be the designers under these. Committees were named, and the design selection procedures for each town, which may not have been exactly the same for each town, but were similar according to the law, went through the process of procuring designer services. As it turns out, EDM out of Pittsfield did the work for both towns, and as far as I can tell, and my involvement was, pretty constant in these projects, both towns really thought that EDM did a terrific job. But again, they each hired their designer under separate, process. So the total program delivery for those two projects was $21,168. And the total administrative costs for providing all of these services regarding housing rehab, Sheffield ABR design, and New Marlborough ABR design was $162,800. So altogether, that adds up to $1,256,368. And that is how that grant has been spent out, to the point where we're in a situation right now where the grant has been extended one last time. It will be operating until the end of March, and it's mainly so that we can complete 3 projects that are already underway. One is in Sheffield, one is in Otis, and one is in New Marlborough. And those projects have already been selected, and when we have finished those projects, we will have spent out all of that grant, and all of the money is available to us.
Good.
So it's been a long time to get this one finished, mainly because of, COVID-19. But we feel like we got a lot of good work done under this grant, and we're very happy to be able to have assisted Sheffield in getting this done. So does anybody have any questions?
No, you gave us a lot of information. Good job.
Thank you, thank you. There's a lot to say. There was a lot happening, and it's been our pleasure, really, to work with the town on this grant. This is not necessarily an issue that needs to come up during an implementation hearing, but we are here to talk to you about an FY 22-23 grant, if you are inclined to listen. Would you like to do that?
Before we do that, Barb, you need to go to the microphone, state your name, your address, and then ask your question. Okay.
Barb Reeves, 571 Berkshire School Road in Sheffield. What is the Sheffield project that money is being spent on?
Are you talking about something, the project that was not the ABR, the one that was a design project?
Whatever this massive amount of money is being spent on for Sheffield?
It's all three of those activities that I mentioned. So it's the housing rehab, it was the design for the ADA improvements for those three facilities, the police station, the library, and the town park. And then New Marlboro was a partner in this grant, so they also had a project for the designs for the town hall to improve their ADA accessibility.
Do we have any access to this plan?
I'm sorry, Barb,
Do we have access to this plan for the three buildings?
Yes, we have complete plans,
Okay.
and in fact, what we did the following, I'm trying to remember when we did this, was it 21?
I think so.
Okay.
We actually applied for funding for each of those,
Okay,
and because of some rule changes at the federal level, we were not eligible, so we still have all of those plans. And I think we're kind of still looking for ways to do that. One was to improve the restrooms at the town park. The other one was to improve the entrance and some things like that, as well as redo the patio in the back of the library, which is not ADA compliant. The third at the police station was to redo the complete entry to the police station so it would be accessible all year round, as well as I think there were some internal changes like a counter and the first floor restroom.
thank you. That was what because that's part of the learning process for me,
Right.
is like.
And again, if you wish, we can discuss that more
Okay,
after the
thank
meeting.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pat, could you tell us both of the projects completed, and you said one, I believe, that's in process will be for Sheffield. Of that 15, how many of those were for Sheffield? How many sorted itself out?
We have that broken down somewhere, but I'm not sure if I believe it's 9 for Sheffield.
Okay.
We have to make it, it
We're
has
not
to.
going to necessarily.
I think it was 9 for Sheffield, 4 for Otis, and 2 for New Marlboro.
So I'm going to really test your memory here, but we've been doing these housing rehab CDBG grants together for quite some time.
Right.
Do you have any idea of how many units in Sheffield over the history of these grants have actually? I thought it was somewhere in the 20s.
No, I think it's probably more than that. It's probably, starting with 2014, we did housing rehab in 2014, 2016, and then 2019. It's somewhere over 30, I believe, altogether.
All righty, wonderful. That just speaks
I'll get that number for you.
I'm curious, it's kind of like, it just speaks to the
That wasn't
importance.
quite as difficult. I thought you were going to ask me how much we had actually spent.
No. But it just speaks to the importance of this
Exactly.
program
Right.
to Sheffield residents who own their home.
Right. And it is a long, slow process. So in order to get 9 projects done, we probably accepted and reviewed 20 to 25 applications just from Sheffield alone. And some of them are not income eligible, but, people have, asked us if they are, and so we go through the process with them. Some of the projects may not be eligible where the homeowner is. I mean, there can be some projects that are just way beyond the scope of the program. We can't rebuild someone's home, and certainly not on $40,000 a year. I mean, $40,000 a project, which is, what is set aside for these, But I will say that with the single case waivers, that did enable us to do some projects that were really very big and close. The biggest one was close to $100,000. So there was a lot of need there, and that's a process that we go through with DHCD. It's not, we don't make that decision independently of them. We consult with them, and it's, they look at everything from the original inspection and photographs of the property to how we have done what they call the work write-up, which is really the bid specifications so that we can bid the project. So they look at everything before we, commit to that kind of money. And it does mean that if we spend more on one, we don't have as much for another. But with COVID, I think what we found is it's not just hard to get a contractor, but every step of the way is so much more expensive. And there's so many delays in getting materials. And we're beginning to come out of it now, but it's taken a long time, very long time.
Pat, do we still have a waiting list?
You do still have a waiting list in Sheffield, and I would say it's about 25 right now. I'd say
25?
somewhere in the neighborhood of 25. And so that's why we don't have to do this during the public hearing. It's up to you whether or not, because this hearing is on the implementation of the current grant. If you would like me to continue, I can, or you can close the hearing and we can talk about the next grant.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just see if there's any more questions. And if not, we're going to thank Pat very much. I mean, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you stay sane dealing with all of the things that
Walk
come
the
up.
floors at night.
Okay, but whatever, we really appreciate
Thank you.
what you have done for Sheffield.
Thank you.
So with that, could I have a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now let's move on to what's next.
So, DHCD has traditionally had an application round once a year, and normally the grants go in March. And during COVID-19, everything got thrown off. There was the FY21 grant went in September because there was such a long delay. So in other words, they weren't ready in March to accept applications, and they had to throw the entire cycle off until September of that year. And then because they were doing that in September, and it usually takes them 4 to 6 months to announce the grants, so they're spending a lot of time reviewing the applications, et cetera. They did not have, in 2022, there was no CDBG application in March. Instead, DHCD has decided to combine all the money from FY22 that's available to them through their allotment from HUD, and all of the money that they will get in 2023 and into a single round, which will put them back on the schedule of accepting applications in March, and that will be coming up this year, but it's a single grant, and it's called FY22-23. So it's been a long time coming, and we never know what else could be coming down the pike. We've all learned that there could be interruptions in our best laid plans, and so we've thought long and hard about whether or not we should apply for another grant on behalf of Sheffield, and because it has taken us a long time with all of the conditions that I've been describing to get the work done. But we want to ensure that Sheffield continues to have some resource for people who need this housing rehab program. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that we continue this our partnership in submitting CDBG grants, and that we consider requesting a smaller program for 22-23 of somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 projects, as opposed to, say, rolling out an application for 20 or 25 and then not being able to get it finished during the implementation period. So if we decide to do that, BRPC is willing to assist the town by compiling the grant and getting it ready for you and submitting it. And as usual, we have an MOU that we would like to have your agreement on, that if BRPC if you choose to have us go forward, that we will administer the grant if it is, again, awarded, which is always, there's always a possibility it won't be. And we can certainly discuss we probably would want to have at least one more public hearing or other opportunity between now and when the grant goes in, to discuss with people in the community and explain what our reasoning is. But we think we think we would do better if we just kind of made the application a little bit smaller than normal, because it does take a long time to get these projects done. It takes a long time to accept the applications from the homeowners, to screen them and determine their eligibility. But even once we get everything ready and we'd like to bid them out, sometimes we can't get anybody to bid on the projects. So it's a slow process, but we think it's one that is worth continuing, because ultimately, for the people that do get projects, it's a huge help to them. And
Bob, do you have any comments on that? At this
It
moment?
sounds like a good idea from what I hear.
Yeah, I feel the same. With 25 people on a waiting list, I would hate to not have a program.
Rhonda?
So the 25 people that are on the waiting list, have they already been screened?
for the most part, yes.
So they're kind of ready to go?
Right, yeah.
So, Pat, this would be due in March of '23?
That's correct.
I mean, we don't
believe-
have this per se on our agenda, so we're not going to make any
Sure.
final, okay? So we're just kind of discussing, so this would be March 23. Does it look like it's the same a type of grant application that we've brought our way through?
Yes, it's
Okay.
basically the same application, template, and,
Okay.
I think that one thing that we do really need to work hard at is being sure that we have spent out all of that money, but I don't foresee that as being a problem. We almost did not ask for an extension because we're that close to finishing. We just didn't want to have anything spilling over at the end, that was not completed. So we expect to have everything spent out from
How does our
2018.
community score look this year? Have you got
It
that?
has not changed, so I believe it's a 9.
So that means we're unfortunately a good candidate.
Yes, yes, and, I think, the community-wide needs score is a score that DHCD assigns to each community. Every community across the state has a score, and the scores range from 1 to 10, with 10 being the most needy. So Sheffield has a 9, that is a very high score. And it's part of how it's one leg in the process of determining competitiveness of a grant. And so I think that it's, Sheffield continues to be well-positioned for getting one of these grants.
I just have a few more questions.
That's okay. That's fine.
It's going to inform this. I love the idea of the small number of projects. We can't have these things drag on and it's been a unique
Right.
situation in 19. We usually, all the other grants, we really try to get them done. And then been
Exactly.
able to apply it,
Right.
compact it to 1 year. Are you suggesting that we go in with another community, or that we go it singular on a potential 22-23 application? What are your thoughts?
I think that's still up in the air. I think that's a decision that has to be made within the next few weeks, but there's a lot of considerations as to what other community might be prepared to do, to partner with Sheffield. As you know, when two communities partner, two or more communities, it's considered a regional grant. The upper limits of what you can request is higher, but I don't think that's going to impact us because we're not looking for, the ultimate at this point. But, there does need to be some type of interlocal agreement between the two towns, and since we don't have anyone right now, for sure, that we have in mind, I think that that's a pretty big hurdle, trying to get that into local agreement. It would have to happen in January, basically.
I know one of the things is Sheffield was the lead on this, and this is not without, the 2019, this is not without paperwork.
That's right, there is a lot of paperwork.
I think if there was another municipality that we were partnering with, we would really look for them to take the lead this time. I
think
would
that is fair, and there is some potential for that, but I think before we talk about it here, I would need to,
Sure.
discuss
I just
that.
kind of wanted to get all the
leadership
thoughts
and
out
stuff.
on the table.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
let me just say, are there any other thoughts to get out on the table?
No?
So if this is due in March, Rhonda, what would you be thinking? We should possibly invite Pat back in our second meeting in January?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, so that
And
would
then
be-
we'll have some of these questions answered or close to being answered, and we'll have an opportunity for any input from the public.
So that would be the 17th of January?
Right.
Okay, so let's calendar that and kind of see what.
That sounds good.
So, are you thinking that if we go forward with this, that we should do open and accept more requests from individuals, or just deal with the waiting list that is in front of you?
Oh, I think we have to open it up.
Okay,
Because you
good.
just never know, people's circumstances can change.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, you know, or fortunately, people's circumstances do change, and
I'm
so.
glad to hear that, because, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else on this,
No.
Rhonda? Both of you, wonderful holidays to you.
All right, thank you very
so
much.
much for this information.
Thanks for
and
coming.
we'll Look forward to seeing you on the 17th and continuing the conversation.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
thanks for
Thank
having us,
you.
we appreciate it. It's good to meet you.
Bye-bye. So our next item is a discussion, possible action regarding the forestry plan for the new highway garage. Bob?
At this point, I've talked to Mark Volk. He's going to try to be out here next week to expand the footprint. I've also talked to Jim Kelly, who we're going to try to coordinate to both be out there at the same time. It doesn't change the forestry plan that much, but it does change it a little. So before we can go out to bids, we have to have the footprint finalized. So I'm hoping to have that done next week.
Wonderful, okay. Our next item is award of the police station roof bid. Rhonda?
So bids were received on September 5th and opened. So we received 3. The high bid was from Cape Cod Builders at $347,000. They did not attend the mandatory pre-bid meeting. The next bid comes from La Rochelle Construction for $233,000. Their bid package was complete and they attended the meeting. The low bid was Triumph Roofing for $135,000. They attended the pre-bid, but there were things missing out of that were required. DCAM certification, a couple other certifications that we had requested in the bid package that they did not provide. So I talked with Tim from EDM. They worked with La Rochelle before, and so it's my recommendation to the board that you award the bid to the middle bidder at $233,000.
And if anyone hasn't followed as closely as we have, EDM was our bid man, what would you describe what they did for us?
Our consultant for the
Our
bid.
consultant for the bid. Board members?
Make a motion that we offer the bid to La Rochelle Construction Incorporated for $233,000.
I'll second that, but I do have a question on the bid sheet here. The difference between the square footage price, it doesn't seem to make sense to
I
me.
can't explain that to you. I'm not a builder. I don't know. But I've gone over it with Tim Whitman, and he's very happy with what they provided.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But I'm just going with the top number, not the
Okay,
square foot.
all right, I
number,
just-
because
it-
you're right, the square foot.
It didn't comprehend to me,
It
but
should actually
be higher.
reflect the total figure.
Yeah.
Right. So what each one included in their square
Right,
foot
we don't know.
configuration, I don't know.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, end of discussion for me.
Did you second it, Bob? I'm sorry.
No, he made the motion, I
You
second.
seconded, fine, thank you. There's nothing else to discuss on this, Rhonda?
No.
Okay, then, let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous, wonderful. And I think this was within what we had kind of.
It is.
Hoped, okay. Next item is the approval of 2023 licenses. And is there anyone who would like to volunteer to read parts of this?
I'll be happy to.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sure. 2023 Select Board licenses, alcohol license, Berkshire Mountain Distillers, Farming Distillery pouring permit, Big Elm Brewing Farmer Winery pouring permit, Sunset Meadow North LLC Farmer Winery pouring permit, The Marketplace Cafe Wine and Malt Alcoholic Beverages Restaurant, Roberto's Pizza Wine and Malt Alcoholic Beverages Restaurant, Silk's Variety All Alcohol Beverages Package Store, Barnes Space Catering All Alcoholic Beverages Restaurant, Sheffield Frog LLC All Alcoholic Beverages Restaurant, Stagecoach Tavern All Alcoholic Beverages Innkeeper Hotel, Racebrook Lodge Wine and Malt Alcoholic Beverages Innkeeper Hotel, American Legion Post 340 All Alcoholic Beverages Blanket One-Day Club License. Antiques and Secondhand Goods, Angus Books, Bloom Kids Consignment, Campo di Fiori Inc., Corner House Antiques Inc., Falconwood Antiques, Great Finds, La Triomphe, Linda Rosen Antiques, Mix on Main, Painted Porch Antiques LLC, Samuel Harrop Antiques, Susan Silver Antiques, Yesterday's Treasures and Gifts. Class 1 Motor Vehicles, Berkshire GMC Inc., Pete's Sales and Service. Class 2 Motor Vehicles, Picchetti's Auto Sales Inc., 1924 North Main Street, Picchetti's Auto Sales, 1233 County Road. Watson Automotive. Class 3 Automotive, Cass Event Repair, Picchetti's Auto Sales, Estate of George Milkey Sr., Ray's Auto Parts LLC, Custom Classics Repair and Restoration, Watson Automotive. Entertainment, Barnes Space Catering, Dewey Memorial Hall, Sheffield Frog LLC. Innholders, Stagecoach Tavern, Racebrook Lodge, Sheffield 1802 House. Lodging House, Sheffield Lodge, 10 dorms at Berkshire School. Storage of inflammable material, Benjamin Webster, John B. Hull Inc., Pete's Sales and Service, Galata Brothers Inc., Carlson Heating and Air Conditioning Inc.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there a motion on this matter to grant?
So I'll make a motion that we approve the licenses as read.
Second.
Anything else, Rhonda, on this? We're good?
We're good.
All right. All those, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item is discussion of possible action regarding the Veterans Heritage Grant. I hope everybody got this in time to read. If not, we can postpone it to our next meeting on the 2nd.
I did.
It's
Did you have a chance to look at it?
to absorb. We're still waiting, and to be honest, I just asked them for this as of today. We're waiting to submit this for hopefully letters of support from the Cemetery Commission, the Historical Society, and Representative Pignatelli. But I know, given this much paper that I have created, there's got to be some mistakes in it.
I only found one, Renee.
Oh, my goodness.
Done exceptionally well.
Yeah, I only found one, and it's on the Heritage Grant application, and I'll just give you the page. I
Oh,
circled it.
Wonderful, great.
It's a very minor.
Are we good with the rest of the components and the major discussion?
Yeah, I thought it was very well put together, and I very much appreciate the work.
I do have to let you know that on the budget, that number is subject to, that has to be determined by the Cemetery Commission. I was just kind of putting it in as a placeholder, and I've gone over that with Tammy in an email. Rhonda, Molly, did you have any comments or anything on
No, I
this one?
think it's well put together.
Okay,
So do you want a motion on it?
yeah,
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we move forward with the application for the Veterans Heritage Grant in conjunction with the Cemetery Commission and the Historical Society for improving and maintaining the gravestones of our veterans.
Second?
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
There was a really cool thing that just came out in the MMA Weekly, I think it was in the MMA Weekly, that showed digitization of the location of veterans' graves on maps. We just saw that last week, so we're going to explore that also and see whether that might be possible, but it's not necessarily, we'll see what happens.
So I had one question on the grant writing. You know, there's lots of conversation about maintaining and restoring stones as they exist, but crossed thought my mind is, I know we have veterans that are buried without a marker.
Right, and I think that is, I think one of the exciting things about having the Historical Society involved in this is, I'm hoping that that information
Will come forward.
will come forward. I personally see this as a multi-year project.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wanted to toss that
Yeah.
out because it popped
Yeah,
into my head, because I do know of at least one veteran in Ashley Falls who does not have a marker at all.
I think that would be, if you could, why don't you send me an email on that?
I will.
Because we'll start collecting that information. If anyone else knows of a veteran, whether in a private or a town cemetery who is buried without a marker, we would want that information, not necessarily as part of this grant application, but for information purposes, for future work. I don't know what else to say
Yep,
about
no,
it.
thank you.
Thank
That
you.
answers that question.
Yeah. I'm sorry, where are we? in
Item
this?
number 7.
No, no,
Oh.
we're all finished. We got a first motion and a second, and great. Okay, let's move forward, thank you. So, discussion action regarding letter to Cannabis Control Commission regarding host community agreements. So another letter.
Yeah.
And this one, just for the public, is with the new legislation passed last year regarding cannabis in Massachusetts. The Cannabis Control Commission has been charged with writing guidelines and a number of other things regarding host community agreements. And it's very up in the air as to whether passed, that is signed, host community agreements are subject to the legislation that was passed. And this letter just kind of represents thoughts on what we as a select board would like to have them be aware of. There's a space, part of which is to leave the current existing agreements alone and honor the agreements that were signed by the town and those freely acting organizations. And there's a few other things in here, but if you'd like to see it when it's finished, it will be a public document. So with that introduction, what did y'all think?
Again, I found just a couple of typographical errors, so
Why don't you give them to me, because
All
I'll
right,
fix it for
let's do
signature.
You know, Rhonda, you can have this one too, but I'll make it with the burials without markers.
so I'm happy to make a motion that we go ahead and prepare this for signature and sending to the Cannabis Control Commission.
I'm going to just give one more to Rhonda, depending on how it spaces out on the page.
Oh, yeah, I have that one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we next have discussion possible action regarding a one-day alcohol permit at Drury Hall. We have all, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
I had the same thought.
I'd like to show this to the public because usually we have one date on an application. And as you can see, Dewey Hall is planning ahead. And there's a lot of dates on here. So I guess we will, before we read all this, let's just ask, is everything complete, Rhonda?
Yes.
Does anybody want to read this group?
I can read this.
Start at the bottom, though, because that's the first date.
I see that. Well, I'll do my best anyway.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
I make a motion to approve the one-day alcohol permits for a Christmas Carol radio play on 12/23/22, jazz jams on 1/11/23, 2/8/23, 3/8/23, 4/12/23, 5/10/23, 6/14/23, 9/13/23, 10/11/23, 11/8/23, and 12/13/23. And then a sourdough bread contest on 3/4/23. A dahlia show on 2/17/23. Some type of concerts.
Taproot?
I don't know.
I think it looks like Taproot.
Taproot, okay, we'll say that works for me. Concerts and dances on 2/16/23, 3/9/23, 3/30/23, 5/6/23, 5/25/23, 6/22/23, 9/21/23, and 12/7/23.
Well done, Robert. I'll second that motion.
Maybe. I was noticing they don't jam during the summer. All right, we have a motion and a second. Everything is in order. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is discussion, possible action regarding annual closing of Lower Barnum and Water Farm roads. Rhonda?
So this is a request from the highway. Those are the two roads that we normally close in the winter, and we just wanted to run it by you for this year.
Now, as someone who uses the Water Farm cut through constantly, did we close that last year? And it just was for those of us who were willing to try it?
Probably. A lot of times that's where they're able to put the snow that they remove out of the village green
Okay.
and stuff, so.
So I know on the Lower Barnum, it seems like there's usually a sign that's put across it, like a barrier. I've never noticed a barrier on Water Farm. Are they
No,
good?
we've just put a sign
Okay,
up,
fine.
so.
All
You know,
right.
if it's passable and you want to do
Oh,
it
yeah.
at your own risk.
Yes,
it's-
okay. That was my discussion. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Final approval of the personnel policy, Rhonda?
I'm still going through some of the comments that you made on it, Renee, so I'm going to ask for one more extension to January 3rd. I'll have it all ready and ready to go, unless you want to approve it pending.
Board members, would you rather that, or would you rather make a motion to approve pending completion of Rhonda's comments? I'm comfortable. I don't necessarily need, I just had my 2 cents in there. I don't need to see it again. I don't know whether she's accepted it or not.
Some I have not, so.
I'm sorry?
Some I have accepted, some I
Yeah.
have not. Many of the changes were he, she to there,
Yeah, I'm for generic language.
yeah, that type
Yeah.
thing, so.
So,
So I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel policy subject to Rhonda being satisfied with Renee's recommended changes.
And I'll second that.
is it possible that would be amended to be what Rhonda? Okay, we'll go with that, okay? Yes, that's fine. Any further discussion?
No.
So it's in your hands, Rhonda. 'Rhonda. Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Final approval of the personnel policy subject to Rhonda being satisfied with Renee's recommended changes. And I'll second that.
So
Oh, you're at that point. Board member items. Bob, we're going to start with you.
And nothing but a Merry Christmas to all and Happy Holidays.
Ditto.
Ditto, and as the second night of Hanukkah, I'll throw in Happy Hanukkah.
There you
Okay.
go.
Town administrator items.
I do, I have several actually. So I just want to remind everyone of our holiday schedule. We'll be closed on 12/23, 12/26, and 1/2. And I want to also remind people that the next two board members will be on Tuesday night due to Monday holidays
Board meetings.
for each one. Did I say what I said?
Members.
Sorry.
It was an M
Meetings.
word.
Yeah, there you go,
So
meetings. It's a
you're gonna
long
be
day.
On
Can I say?
1/3,
Yes,
And
which is a
then-
Tuesday.
yeah, and then 1/17.
Yes, which is also a Tuesday.
All right.
Okay. I also just want to let everyone know that Griffin Samal and Jake Blass, our two highway workers, took the test for their hydraulics license in several categories and both passed. So we now, the highway crew, every single one of them has the hydraulics license, including the 4G over-the-rail mower. So rather than having one person have to operate that all the time, we now have a full crew that can do that. And also Griffin Samal has received his CDL permit.
Oh,
So he
wonderful.
can now drive in the truck with one of the other licensed members, and he is working on finding a class so that he can get his full license for that.
Great.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
I couldn't tell quite what was going on with the roads. I stayed in a lot during this last, what was it, type of storm. But I know it seemed like when I did get out, the roads were perfect.
They did a good job.
Yeah, they were out all day.
Yeah, I think this highway crew is absolutely outstanding in how they get things done and their attitudes, and we're very fortunate to
We are.
have such a good department.
Yeah.
Yes, as we are with all of our town employees. Anything else?
Yes, I have a lot more.
All right.
At your next meeting, you're going to have a public hearing from National Grid about trees to be removed. So the list of trees we will put on the website if it's not already on there, and we will post it here at Town Hall. In the legal ad, it said that we would also post at the post office, but in going over there today, they won't allow us to put anything else up. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's a local rule. I'm assuming it's a U.S. Post Office rule. I don't know. But anybody looking for it will not be posted at the post office. It's too late to change the hearing notice. But you can contact our office and we'd be happy to share that information with you. The senior work-off program ended on November 30th and a new one started on December 1st. So we had 6 people participate. And the total that the abatements that we're giving, the tax abatements, is $7,315.55 for the last year. So far, I've had one person return their paper, 2 people return their paperwork to participate in the program again next year. I'm assuming that eventually everybody will. But we were offered things from selling transfer station stickers to paperwork to census work to drive in the senior van. So there's a variety of things that are available. If anyone else is interested in joining the program, they should let me know. The last thing I have is I received a letter today from Nan Wells, who'd like to be put on the Sheffield COD Commission on Disabilities. And so I was hoping that we could just get her name announced, because that commission is always looking for new members. So if we got her announced tonight, you could take action at your next meeting.
Nan was on the commission for
Years.
Yes.
I think she's probably one of the original members.
She was on it, I think, when it was very first formed,
Yes,
so.
yes. So we'll announce, you'll just announce your name and we'll take that up on the 3rd.
That's it for me.
Okay, Barb is the only member of the public here tonight. Do you have any comments under public speak? If you do, you have to go to the microphone. You just have to announce your name, you don't have to do your address again.
Barb Reeves, questioning what the COD and the MMR and all the other acronyms that were mentioned.
COD is the Commission on Disability.
Okay, thank you. thank you, okay,
What was the
MOU
MMO?
is the memo of understanding
okay,
between BRPC and the town.
okay,
If we go forward with an application.
okay, thank you.
We'll try to limit the acronyms.
I understand, you understand them, and eventually I'll learn them, but
Yes, yes.
it makes my head
It's
spin.
good that you're
Yes.
questioning it, because the viewers out there don't understand our acronyms
Okay.
either.
Well, I think we try to be possibly a little bit too lengthy in explanations.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's important to put the context.
Yep.
And not everybody follows every meeting, so thank you for
Yeah, good.
reminding us that we need to maybe do just a
Happy to
little
help.
better job. Okay, thank you. Members, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Say it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This meeting is ended.